Well. Good to see everyone here today. I hope your afternoon and morning was both well. And because we are here with more Jujutsu Kaisen as the series starts to wind up. Because after today's chapter, we only have 3 more chapters of Jujutsu Kaisen, and then we're done. So let's begin. Party Seppe! It's good to see you. Let's get started. Yo, peoples! Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another live dramatic reading of Jujutsu Kaisen. In the last chapter, we found out what happened to Yuji's fingers on his left hand. Turns out that when Rika is capable of copying a person's ability, be it by someone giving them a piece of their flesh, the more Rika has, the stronger the connection. And therefore, it was explained to us that this plan of Yuji not having his fingers the entire time since this major fight broke out, it turns out that this was planned. That's the reason why his hands were covered, to cover up the fact that he didn't even have 2 fingers, which enabled Rika to copy the abilities of Sukuna from Yuji, because since Sukuna was in Yuji's body, Sukuna's techniques were engraved in his body, as is the case with cursed techniques. So eating Yuji's fingers, which Sukuna thought was, oh, Yuta Okotsu is capable of copying my abilities because he ate that one finger that supposedly Gojo had. But no, because Yuji has been Sukuna's vessel for a long enough time for that cursed energy to just seep into his body, for those techniques to seep into his body, Yuji became the best candidate for Rika to copy Sukuna's abilities from Yuji. So the plan was to have Sukuna think that the entire time his finger had the entire time of thinking that his finger was already eaten, and therefore Yuta had it. He thought that Yuta had it this entire time, but it turns out that they secretly had Sukuna's finger in a building in a completely different location the entire time. And not only is the place being overseen by Principal Gakuganji, but also Utahime, and the newly returned Nobara, who uses her soul resonance curse technique to inflict some major damage onto Sukuna, disrupting his cursed energy flow, keeping him from using cursed techniques, keeping him from opening his domain expansion, which he was about to use against Yuji, and allowing Yuji to use his divergent fist and deliver a smackdown black flash directly to his solar plexus. So let's see what happens in chapter 268, Settling Matters. And we begin with Sukuna speaking to Megumi. In this mindscape, Sukuna is speaking to Megumi. Megumi Fushiguro! We haven't seen him since that chapter when he was talking about wanting to have a world where he and his step-super Sumiki could live happily. We seeing Megumi again.
How will you ever be able to face the world again? You had your body stolen by me, and your sister was killed, and you refused help. And, oh right, the boy you saved slaughtered lots of people. Just give up. You'll never be able to live a normal life, so stay quiet and let me handle things.
And then it cuts to Megumi going, why are you so desperate?
One of Sukuna's fingers is still out there. If the way to become a cursed object is set and Itadori pulls...
Oh wait, this is Megumi. Why are you so desperate? One of Sukuna's fingers is still out there. If the way to become a cursed object is set and Itadori pulls me out, you die. Plus resonance isn't always good for you. If 19 fingers disappear, the last one probably can't carry on your soul. But I'm relieved to see that even you fear death.
Woo!
literally talking to Sukuna right now. Because in these panels, it shows like this big, vast void of darkness enveloping Megumi. As if because it kind of reminds me of how, like, All For One was trying to take over Shigaraki back in My Hero. He's trying his best to deride Megumi, to fill him with despair so that he never hopes of being free.
If 19 fingers disappear, the last one probably can't carry on your soul. But I'm relieved to see that even you fear death. I never intended to live a normal life. The world is full of people besides myself. Once more, I think I'll live for others.
And it shows this just big, gigantic explosion happening from the very same location where Yuji delivered that solid black fist directly to Sukuna. And then we see Yuji punching away Sukuna, who's starting to lose his overall appearance that he gained when he's starting to lose his 1,000 years ago appearance. The one with the multiple arms and the light-colored hair that he had. He's now starting to lose that. His arms are starting to disappear, and his hair is starting to turn black again. It's starting to turn black again. The aspects of Sukuna are starting to disappear. Oh, it's not just a matter of the aspects of Sukuna are disappearing. Yuji successfully separated Sukuna from Megumi. Because Megumi is launched backwards. Mind you, he's still wearing the clothes that Sukuna had on. And Sukuna is trying desperately to grab Megumi, trying to get a hold of him. All of his hands and fingers are trying to latch on to Megumi again, and he's screaming, ah, ah! And it shows Sukuna as this big amalgamation of eyes, mouths, and fingers trying to grab Megumi again. And Sukuna starts burning up. Just immediately starts burning up. Wow. Wow. And this mass, so this is what Sukuna looks like, separated from a human host. Has anyone ever seen the anime Parasite? What is that little parasite's name? Miki? I think it's called Miki. But if anyone's ever seen the anime Parasite or read the manga, you know that this looks eerily similar to the parasites that take over human bodies, and you know how they transform with blades or with a human head and everything. But Sukuna is just completely out of Megumi's body right now. That divergent fist black flash from Yuji was the final one. And now Megumi is completely separated from Sukuna. And what it remains of Sukuna is just laying in a big old pile of flesh on this rooftop that Yuji just bodied him onto. And Sukuna, in this state, is just huffing and puffing. I imagine that his voice isn't the same because he's in this state. Kind of reminds me of the dwarf in the flask. The dwarf in the flask near the end of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. But then a shadow looms over what remains of Sukuna. This fleshy part of Sukuna, while Megumi is a distance away, and Yuji standing over him. Whoo! Giving him just the coldest stare. And mind you, Yuji has numerous scars all over his body, including the right side of his eye just completely covered in blood and just cut through. So you just get the one eye from Yuji just staring down at him. And then we have Yuji speaking. So, what's it gonna be, Sukuna? And then Sukuna thinks back to what Yuji said back in his domain expansion. Free Fushiguro. I'll spare you if you return to me. And then Yuji continues. Sukuna, you or me. And he stands to pick up Sukuna. We were born with the burden of a curse, and the monster you became was up to luck. But I had my grandfather. Sukuna, let's do it again. Not to curse someone, but to live with someone. Even if no one else accepts it, I'm willing to go on living with you. And then Sukuna speaks as this mound of flesh that is Sukuna starts to disintegrate in Yuji's hands.
I gotta compliment how complete you are in acting the fool, Yuji Itadori. But do not dare to insult me, for I am a curse.
And then it looks like Sukuna just fades in Yuji's hand. And then it's just Yuji looking. Then we cut back to Uraume and Kinji Akari.
It's all over.
Yep, looks that way.
So what now?
Nothing. It's the end. Oh wait, this is Kinji going. So what now?
Nothing. It's the end. If Sukuna lost, it's because he was a fully fleshed curse. It's not because you guys were strong.
No, they were strong. Because Yuji had the same potential to be as strong as Sukuna. So, nah, it wasn't because Sukuna became a full-fledged curse because he was separate from a human body. Nah, it's just because Yuji was literally putting in the works, barbecuing them ribs. Nah, they were strong.
If Sukuna lost, it's because he was a fully fleshed curse. It's not because you guys were strong. You merely got lucky. Being born 1,000 years later saved your lives.
I merely got lucky? That's the ultimate praise for a guy like me. And then Uraume's body just starts to freeze over.
I guess you're right.
And Uraume completely freezes over and then just cracks and turns into icy dust as well. So that's the end of Uraume. And then we get Megumi. We get Megumi who wakes up all of a sudden. And he's in a bedroom. And he wakes up and he sees both Yuji and Nobara pulling the same move that Yuji did to them when Yuji originally pretty much died until Sukuna brought him back, and then he did that whole thing with his binding vows just so he can get Megumi later on. We'll talk about that later. But they were trying to hide inside of a box to surprise him, and he wakes up and he sees them both.
What are you two doing?
Planning a Kujisaki's alive surprise.
Oh, sorry.
Because wow, now here's the thing. It wasn't just Yuji and Nobara that were planning to be in the box. They were planning to have Nobara be in the box so that Megumi could be surprised that Nobara is still alive. Planning a Kujisaki alive surprise.
Oh, sorry.
And then we get Nobara speaking. Wow, how much time has passed between both Sukuna and Uraume just straight up just fading from existence. This is the end of Sukuna, okay? This is the end. Sukuna just died. Sukuna's gone. He gone. I got questions though. There's still some matters that need to be resolved. We'll get to it. But Nobara speaks.
Hey, the hottest girl in class you thought was dead is alive, so you should piss yourself in surprise or weep for joy.
And then Yuji goes, I did cry a bit. When you did resonance?
I found out while I was in Sukuna. Our class only has 3 people.
Yeah, I guess I needed to be there.
Well, shall we get to it? Yeri received these letters from Gojo. Now that we're all together, we can open them.
Letters?
Yeah, it's not like him. Imagining him writing them creeps me out.
Ouch, that's mean. There are only 2. I don't have one. Oh, there are only 2. I don't have one. Letters addressed to Nobara and Megumi, but not to Yuji. That's because I talked to him directly.
Oh, you did?
Well, let's do this.
And then Nobara is looking at the letter, and she just go like, yeah! What did he write?
It's just info on where my mom is and what she's doing.
Did you want to know that?
Nope.
And she just crumples up the paper.
I'm surprised he was able to find her. I guess I should have expected it.
And then Megumi just starts laughing. which is not something you would normally see Megumi do. And he just starts laughing.
Did he make you special grade? Fushiguro's actually laughing!
I gotta know. Show me. Can I see it?
Actually, it's a lot like Kujisaki's.
And both Yuji and Nobara look at the letter and their their faces just go blank.
It's kinda harsh.
So why were you laughing?
It's okay.
Well, if you say so.
And the letter says, sorry, Megumi, but your dad's a goner. I wasted his behind. My bad. Wow, okay, I like the way he signed the letter. It's just a black bar, then some lines on top, and then a smile underneath, because that's basically Gojo's face. That's a nice way to sign a letter. So his letter was just basically, sorry Megumi, your dad's gone. I killed him. And that's the letter he left. And then it cuts to a clock, and then I think this is Megumi going, uh-oh, I gotta go see Maki and the others. No, wait, this is Nobara saying this.
Uh-oh, I gotta go see Maki and the others.
Huh?
Come with us, Fushiguro.
Everyone's gonna get together. I guess I should apologize and say thanks.
No, this isn't about that.
Huh? It's about Okotsu-senpai. We have to save him.
You jerk!
Oh, save him from them?
Because they have to save Yuta? Because it shows Inumaki, Maki, and Panda. It shows, Mai. It shows Mai, Momo, and, dang it, I just forgot this guy's name. Not Kuro. Ah, man, I forgot this dude's name. He's the one that does the swordsmanship. I forgot his name. But apparently they have to save Yuta? That's interesting. Okay. So is Maki and her gang and Kusakabe. It was supposed to be Kusakabe. Kusakabe! Yeah, Kusakabe. Sorry. I didn't even look at chat. I just had to come back to mind. Kusakabe. So we got Kusakabe, Mai, and Momo. And I guess they're coming after Yuta? What happened to Yuta? We don't know what happened to Yuta. And that's the end of the chapter. Okay. All right. Let's talk about this whole... Let's talk about this chapter. Let's talk about it. You got a nice voice range, Kyushu? Well, thank you. I'm gonna be honest. I honestly thought we were going to see a little bit more of a moment between Sukuna versus Yuji. Me personally, I thought that it was going to... I thought it was going to drag out just a little bit more. I thought that's how it was going to go. Now, mind you, I am not mad. I am just surprised that it ended just like the final hit from Yuji being the Black Flash of the last chapter is pretty much the one hit that was necessary to separate Sukuna from Megumi. And we begin that chapter with that split happening literally just instantly. We got Sukuna, and I could tell that it was the end because of the way that Sukuna was speaking to Megumi at the beginning of the chapter. I was thinking, like, the only time you get these sort of speeches from bosses is when the boss has lost. When they're saying, like, how do you feel going back to living a normal life again? And I was all like, okay, so that hit from Yuji was the one. But I'm kind of surprised that it ended as quickly as it did. Like I said, I'm not mad. I'm not bothered by it. But I'm just surprised that that was the hit. I honestly thought in my mind that it was going to go a little bit longer. Like we see Sukuna struggling to keep himself together, and then maybe, oh, I don't know. I didn't even picture what it would look like for Megumi to separate from Sukuna. So seeing literally him separating from Sukuna, and Sukuna is just a big old mound of flesh, like Pride from Full Metal Alchemist, and he's struggling to hold everything together. I did not see that coming. I did not see that coming at all. Interesting way to end the king of all curses. Like I said, I'm not saying that it's bad, because after everything that Sukuna has done, I feel like with only 3 chapters left, there's only so much you can do for the end of it, and then try and wrap everything up. So I'm kind of going through that same mindset that when I read the final chapter, the final couple of chapters for My Hero Academia. There's so many things that needed to be tied up. If everything is back to normal now, and we got 3 chapters, there has to be an explanation on the culling game. What happened to Tengen? What happened to the culling game and all the participants? What happened to all those ambient negative emotions that was supposedly supposed to end with them combining with Tengen and creating this new form of cursed spirit that was Kenjaku's end goal? There's still some loose ends to tie up. What happened to Yuta? And why is Kusakabe and his crew and Maki and her crew suddenly making their way to Yuta as well? Like what happened? Because we haven't seen Yuta ever since he fell out after, burning himself out using Gojo's body. We don't know what happened to Yuta after that. So I think it's interesting how Sukuna went out. I wasn't expecting his whole body. I wasn't expecting another Shigaraki situation, like how that ended. If you didn't read the end of My Hero Academia, I'm not going to say what it was, but I was not expecting Megumi to go the route of Shigaraki. But actually, this kind of reminds me a little bit, to a certain degree, of how Muzan Kibutsuji, to a degree, to certain elements, but it's a long reach, so I'm not even going to include it. I'm actually surprised how quickly Sukuna went out. Like I said, I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm just shocked that all it took was. Now I'm not surprised that Yuji's Black Fist was working, because it's shown that it was working before. But the moment Sukuna is separated from his human host, it's like, yeah, that's the only thing that was keeping him together. Plus, with Black Fist and that a positive energy just coursing through his body, I'm also not surprised that it just started to eat him up, because he didn't have any way to protect himself, being separate from an actual human host, literally dying without a host. So, hold on. Hello, mother. It is good to see you today. What is going on?
Hello, son. Hello.
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 Hold on, guys. Let me mute real quick. All right, I'm back. So yeah, let's see what you guys have said about this chapter, because I'm pretty sure everyone has a lot of things to say about how quickly Sukuna went out. So that's definitely something that we need to address. Let me see. CDs, good to see you. Boo Dude, good to see you as well. Joa, good to see you as well. Let me see. Let's see. I hate how Sukuna got did. It feels a little rushed. It felt a bit fast, but at the same time, you really don't want to drag this out. You really didn't want to drag this out. Like I said, I'm just surprised on how quickly he went out. But then again, we don't know what would have happened to Sukuna if he was separated from a human host, because he didn't have anything to actually sustain him. So that's one thing. I agree with you, that was very rushed. Wait, so is Sukuna like Garo from One Punch Man, where they're trying to become monsters, except Sukuna just wants to be a curse instead of a monster? I don't know. A powerful king of curses just suddenly fade? Really? That's it? I'm not too bothered by it. Sukuna was born as a human, true, which allowed him a lot of capabilities that curses weren't able to resist. But him being separate from a human host and him no longer being human, he basically turned into a curse and was thus susceptible to everything that curses are susceptible to. So that's one thing. That's one thing. Let me keep going down and let me see what you guys have said. It is in character, I think. It's like the artist just said, let me go ahead and whip up this chapter real quick. Well, I feel like it's going to be a Naruto, how they just threw Kaguya in the story for nothing, a throw-in idea vibe. At least Naruto had more chapters for Kaguya and Sasuke, whereas Geto, he's dead. Geto's dead. Where have you been? Unless they're going to make a movie Endgame, I doubt it. I mean, Sukuna tanked a lot. He did. Out of all the things that happened with Sukuna, didn't he eat 18 fingers? All of them fingers he ate, you tell me he couldn't hold his water minus one finger? There's 20 fingers, so you're already missing one finger. The last finger that he needed to be fully whole and at absolute strength was in that building with Principal Gakuganji, and Nobara was using a resonance on it, which was how they were able to, stop him before Sukuna was able to use a domain expansion very similar to Gojo's, or at least the same gesture that made it similar to Gojo's. But my thing is, for everything that Sukuna was like during his human days, when he was finally brought down, his spirit lived on in his fingers and they became cursed objects, being capable of basically turning his human host into a new version of himself. And thus he gained protection against things that, most cursed spirits are very susceptible to, such as positive energy, Black Flash, and other capabilities like Nobara's resonance. So with him being separated from Megumi, and I'm not trying to cope and I'm not trying to figure out a thing that makes the most sense, this is just stuff that we know from the story. With him being separated from a human body, being separated because of Yuji's shrine, which literally cut the connection between Megumi's soul and Sukuna's soul, this allowed Sukuna to be ejected from Megumi's body and no longer be regarded as like a beyond curse type being that he was, and he was just a simple curse again. And without a way to sustain himself, like he was basically just a curse that was just existing. He didn't have the capabilities of Shrine. Didn't Kenny do that, turn his fingers into cursed object? Do you mean Kenjaku? I don't think Kenjaku was the one who turned Sukuna's fingers into those cursed objects. I don't think Kenjaku was the one to do that. Hold on, we'll do a little bit of deep diving. Yeah, let's see. Oh, hold on. He is the only person who knows how to turn a sorcerer into a cursed object after death, something not even Sukuna knew how to do during the Heian era. He is also the second most powerful barrier user after Tengen, recognized as one of few sorcerers who can match him in barrier techniques. Now, it doesn't explicitly say that Kenjaku was the one who turned Sukuna's fingers into cursed objects, or turned a person into a cursed object. Not Geto. Kenjaku is what I was trying to say. Where he at? He's dead. He's dead. CDs, you were not here when Yuta basically just one-shot him. Because thanks to Takaba, you know, the one person that has a reality warping curse technique, I'm telling you, that man's going to be scary if he ever masters that. But a reality warping curse technique where Kenjaku was distracted, and in that moment of weakness, Yuta came up and just sliced his head clean off. Before Kenjaku could use his gravity manipulation curse technique in order to protect himself. Yuta came in, didn't waste any time, and says like, nah, son, there will not be no reincarnation. Your head is coming off. Comedian is OP. Party. Comedian is by far a curse technique that could be on par with Limitless and the Six Eyes in terms of strength. If you find something funny, you can bring it into existence, and it can also not only affect the area around you, the entire world around you, but also affect people as well, and even make them think mentally on the same level as you so that they go along with your comedic gags, and they're just pulled in for the ride if they're not conscious enough to resist. And even if they try to resist, they keep being put into situations where their mind keeps telling them, this is how things are. This is how things are. Just go with it. Just go with it. Even Kenjaku was having a hard time trying to resist it. Comedian. One of the most overpowered curse techniques. And it's in the hands of a person who is not serious at all. It's broken. That's the reason why it couldn't have lasted that long. If I find that Gojo's head blowing up is funny, it will happen. Yeah, if I find that you not being able to breathe out of your nose or out of your mouth is funny, it's going to happen. That is just the extent. The only weakness to this curse technique is if Takaba doesn't have confidence in himself. If he has confidence, his curse technique is working. Like, how you having so many comedic scenarios like Truck-kun, or have an entire comedy show going, and even Kenjaku, a person that's lived for 1,000 years and has amassed almost a millennium's worth of knowledge on curse techniques, and even he fell prey to it? OP. It's overpowered. But let's get back to this chapter. So Megumi is back. I'm happy. I'm happy that he's back. He didn't go the route of like, I need you to kill me, Itadori, in order for this to be brought to an end, because frankly, we kind of already seen that situation. Halster, it's good to see you. How do people gain curse techniques? It is a technique that is already ingrained in them. This was explained many chapters ago, that curse techniques are already in a person's body, you know. They already have a technique, an innate technique, if you will. It's already present within them. And it's not something that can just be easily taken. The chapter's pacing was off for me. Don't worry, everyone else feels like it. Everyone else feels like this was a very quick chapter. Especially, and let's just address it. It felt very fast for Sukuna's demise to happen within the first couple of pages. It felt fast. And then when it cuts to Sukuna just fading away, and then we just immediately hard cut to Megumi waking up in his room while Yuji and Nobara were trying to surprise him. That I felt like there's probably something in between that we don't know, and I really hope that the last 3 chapters address what happened between when Sukuna faded, in between Megumi waking up back in his room. That's something that I feel that the last 3 chapters have to address. Like, what happened to Yuta? What happened to the culling game? What happened to Tengen? I said this earlier on. These are things that we need to resolve. I can't say it's a bad chapter per se, but it was a very badly paced chapter. It felt quick. It felt very fast. And I know y'all listen to me read these chapters and I say like, oh, this was amazing. This is everything. And I sometimes don't seem like I don't have anything bad to say, but this is one of those chapters where I'm thinking like, this felt a little bit fast. This felt like it could have. This is something that needed to be marinated on. The king of curses, someone we saw from pretty much the very beginning of the series, someone who was unstoppable every single time he was on screen. And then at the last moment, he gets punched by Yuji, which I think, that was a very solid hit from Yuji, and he just completely separates him, and then Sukuna is just separated, and then he just fades. We don't know how long it takes for a cursed spirit to fully fade after getting hit by Divergent Fist and a Black Flash with maximum amounts of positive energy. Mind you, this is also Sukuna without a host, without a means to defend himself, and Yuji, who was literally at 120% of his original strength. Literally awakened Yuji. So, on one side, it happened fast, but on the other side, I'm actually not surprised. Let me see, they're born, yes. And like Dude says, people are born with their curse techniques. The only way that they can be taken, only people who can, it's not possible for another person to take another person's curse technique unless they have a curse technique that allows that to happen, which is the case of Yuto Okotsu, who is capable of copying people's curse techniques, but that's only as long as Rika has a piece of that person's flesh, and that person's flesh doesn't, somehow get regenerated through medical care or reverse curse technique. Otherwise, that piece of energy that resides for Rika to be able to replicate those curse techniques just fades away completely. That was explained in the last chapter. Let's see, Sukuna and Madara are the only two people who fought entire main cast. Yeah, they are the only people. Even All For One wasn't fighting every single person by himself. He had people. All For One wasn't strong enough to take on every single person. But Sukuna and Madara, they are the only peoples that were capable of just soloing everybody. Everyone. But I will say this, though. I'm actually glad that the way Sukuna went out isn't the same way that Madara went out. Because Madara went out because of Kaguya. And finding out
Black Setsu was really on Kaguya's side the entire time, and I was only beefing you up so that you would serve as a new vessel for Mother.
I'm actually quite glad that there wasn't some bigger cursed spirit pulling the strings from the background. I'm glad, because I hate that trope. I hate that trope so much, for a person that we've never seen before to just appear out of nowhere, and now they're the big bad, and then it's all so you're just gonna undermine the entirety of how menacing this character was. I'm so glad they didn't do that, because while Madara Uchiha is one of the OG baddest dudes to ever live, I'm still not a fan of how he went out because of Kaguya Otsutsuki. I'm not a fan of the whole Otsutsuki angle. I'm not. I feel like it should have stopped when Guy bodied him. I feel like it should have stopped there. Or at least should have stopped with Naruto and Sasuke beating him. But that's me. That's me. My opinion, I feel in a way artists be doing a gimmick to give us viewers, giving us a cheap ending. Now, here's the thing. I don't think how Sukuna went out was cheap, though. Because it was a long time coming. And Nobara literally left the gate open. Nobara literally left the gate open for Yuji to get that one last hit on Sukuna, who was not only capable, who was pretty much locked out of doing everything to defend himself. No Hollow Wicker Basket, no domain expansion, no curse technique, no world-rending cleaves. Just left him open. Let me see. Also, I can't believe the ending to Hakari versus Uraume, it makes sense why, but still, I don't want this fight completely off screen just for it to be a stalemate still, and then Uraume offs themselves. That's the reason why I'm really hoping that these last 3 chapters gives us that closure, because it kind of leaves it kind of open. It kind of leaves this chapter open and wondering okay, what happened. I'm glad this isn't the final chapter because this would have angered everyone, and I would have just been left going, huh? Let me see. My opinion, I feel, let me see. Yuta and Kenjaku are the only people who can take people's techniques per se, but even then, there's still caveats and stuff to the circumstances to allow them to use others' techniques. Hakari off-screened Uraume. I really hope we get explained what exactly happened. Because both Uraume and Hakari, Kinji, where they lost their upper shirts. They were both fully clothed, and then when they were done, they were just all like, they lost all their upper shirts, so something happened. But let me see. My opinion, feeling my win, not at all. But I'm starting to see a bit more. Hakari didn't though. Uraume literally off themselves. Well, that's the reason why we need to. And apparently we're going on break after this chapter, so people are probably going to be saying a lot concerning this chapter. And I understand. I completely understand because part of me is kind of confused on like the pacing a little bit. But let me see. Me neither. Yes, Guy really the MVP. If Gege was gonna off-screen Uraume, then couldn't they have bring Hakari to the battle? That's one way to think of it. Yes, but I mean, like taking out powerful enemies like Madara and Sukuna, cheap basic one hit or something, and end of show. But here's the thing though, Sukuna wasn't just completely one shot in an instance. This was a very long battle that has progressed over 30-something chapters. Just over 30-something chapters of just trying to weaken him. And it wasn't until we got to the end where it was just Yuji versus Sukuna, where it was like Sukuna really was running out of tricks. Like the dude's a tank. He is a glass cannon tank. He is a glass cannon with immense levels of high attack power, but he also has one of the highest defenses out of everyone. And yet they had to chip away at it in every way that they possibly could. So I wouldn't say that it was a cheap tactic to beat him the way that they did, because it was a long battle, and he really hasn't had a chance to like fully rest. Sure, he could have regenerated himself, but dude hasn't had a chance to really, fully recuperate and all. Let me see. Nobara's return was also kind of gimmicky. I don't necessarily think it was. Because Gege literally left it in the air that when she was being looked over by that one dude's name, I forget, it was all the way back in the Shibuya incident arc, the whole Shibuya incident, he did say, her chances are not zero, but I wouldn't, be praying for any miracles. So people ran with that and thought like, oh, Nobara's gone. Then 30-something chapters later, oh, Nobara's really gone. And then she comes back and she uses a resonance and it's all like, I thought she was dead. When did they say that? So that's something I need to address. That to me, it doesn't feel cheap that Nobara was brought back. But the amount of time where it was just left open for Nobara in between when her face got exploded by Mahito. All the way until now. I can understand how people feel the way that they do. Let me see here. Let me see where you guys have said. We don't know if Uraume off themselves. Maybe it was some kind of binding vow with Sukuna, and if he died, she died. Well, it remains to be seen. I'm swinging by late. We'll have to watch the VOD. It's all good, Anime All Day TV. Hopefully you've been good. Let's see. Not for the way she was speaking. Hopefully she's not dead, but it definitely looks that way. We got 3 chapters. Let's see how Gege wraps this up. I'll talk about this series in full once we get down to it. This feels like Naruto without the Kaguya stuff. Already makes it better. I dislike how Yuji was just wearing a cursed tool instead of the claws of calamity. It was all for the intents of making sure that Sukuna didn't know that Yuji didn't have 2 fingers, which would have allowed Yuta to copy the shrine technique and thus put out of Sukuna's mind that maybe there was his 1 finger that was still out there somewhere and he would be able to track it. So they pretty much had that whole situation so that they bluffed him. That was the whole intent of him having his hand covered in that cursed tool, that carapace, might as well call it a carapace, so that he wouldn't find out that his finger was still out there. And it wasn't until the very last minute that he found out, like, oh no, his fingers are gone. So that was a bluff that whole time. Otherwise, he would have went searching for his finger, would have gotten it back, he would have been at full strength, and he would have killed everybody. But that's just how I see it. That's just how I see it. I don't mind the Nobara stuff because that was always open-ended. Exactly. This pacing and the Hakari versus Uraume stuff, this chapter are really the only things I have a bit of an issue with. And that's understandable because, like I said, this felt like it was a bit of a fast chapter. Like the resolution to the King of Curses being defeated was resolved in the last chapter with that last hit. And we just see, like, if I go back and I look at the image of after Sukuna got hit, there was, oh, now I fully understand. Now I fully understand. That big dome that was shattering was Yuji's domain expansion. Look at me being an idiot, live, on camera. That whole big dome, I completely forgot that we were still inside of Yuji's domain expansion this whole time. And his surefire hit attack landed on Sukuna. So that big dome exploding was the domain expansion, and Yuji punching Megumi and Sukuna out from each other, with Megumi flying off into the distance, his hair turning back to normal, those extra arms starting to disappear, and Sukuna trying to grab onto him, only to start to get burnt up by all that positive energy just coursing through him, being left just a big old mound of flesh. I'm starting to get reminded of the dwarf in the flask's fate. But let me see. I got you. Yeah, it was a long battle, but how he separated, in my opinion, I felt he should have went into a monster form. See, that's the thing, though. We are so used to, oh, he's separated from his body. So now he's able to sustain himself, and now he's become an even bigger creature. But we've seen that sort of thing done before. We've already seen that sort of thing done before. 130 chapters? Wow. That's the only reason I don't really like her return is because she was cut out for literally half of the story and brought back for this one moment as being part of this elaborate plan. Granted, we didn't even know anything about the whole deal with Yuji's hand until, like, what, the last chapter. So we were kind of left out in the open, completely oblivious to what went on. Because a lot of us thought that he got that carapace because he ate the other painting death wounds, and he gained that sort of power from them, and that's the reason why he had those those claws. That's what we thought. But it turns out it was just literally just some guards so that it could protect the fact that he didn't have his ring and pinky finger on his left hand. So, like I said, I don't think this is a bad chapter, but the pacing was definitely quick. It was definitely quick. And I feel some people are still going to feel some way about this particular chapter because they probably would have expected Sukuna to go out in some grandiose way where the King of Curses gets eradicated in this spectacular splendor. But he just gets punched out of his hosts and left to burn in the sun in the hands of Yuji. I don't know, part of me thinks that there's something kind of poetic about how Sukuna just went out in the hands of the very person he tried to get away from and called a brat the entire time. Let me see, I wish it was something natural, like Yuji grew the claws of calamity as he battles. Let me see, also it's one of the only techniques that can damage the soul. Exactly. Well, it was the first idle transfiguration that doesn't kill the person. Exactly, because I was thinking about it when I was driving here, that Nobara survived because Mahito didn't touch her long enough. Because when it comes to Mahito, when he lays a hand on someone, he messes with their soul as long as he's touching them. But with what he did to Nobara, he just slapped her directly in the face, and that was that. Wait, Sukuna still has the merger activation button. You're saying that as he fades from existence, where he just... What if he clicked it before he died? I'm looking through this, and I don't see any other special buttons being pressed. I see like a wham of Sukuna being separated from Megumi. But that's, like I said, there's still 3 chapters. There's still 3 chapters. We need to know what happened with the Culling Gang. You know the whole reason everything went down in Shibuya? We need to know what happened. 3 chapters. 3 chapters. Everything needs to be resolved in 3 chapters. Otherwise, Jujutsu is not going to end on a high note. That's me. That's me saying this. Unless we find out what happened between when Sukuna was defeated and when Megumi wakes up in his room, I can't call this a satisfying end. We need to know what happened. Let me see. And we still don't understand anything about Yuji's domain. No, we don't understand we don't know anything about Yuji's domain. Because when it came to domain expansions, we got explanations about how they work. We got Yuta's domain expansion, which is essentially just this endless, boundless world where Yuta can use all the techniques that he's copied and an endless array of swords that randomly have a power in it, and they're always guaranteed to hit. We don't know. Let's hope there isn't a Jujutsu Kaisen Shippuden. I doubt that we're gonna get like a second generation of Jujutsu Kaisen. I highly doubt it. I just wish we got more of him acting like that. The thing I was hoping for Sukuna's defeat was kind of like him losing his mind to losing to Yuji, but still him going out begging and acting a bit pathetically. I like that. See, that's something that you would expect from a person from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. That's what you would expect from there. But part of me, the merger was nothing more than a plot device. Here's the thing, though. This is the reason why you gotta... I have never been this so, I wouldn't say divisive about a chapter from Jujutsu in a very long time. I think this might be the one chapter out of the entirety of Jujutsu where it's got me going like, how is this gonna be resolved where it makes sense and then it's still satisfying to end it? You get what I'm saying? That's how I feel. That's how I feel about it. I love Jujutsu Kaisen. I really do. But this is the one chapter that's just kind of making me wonder. Like I said, I don't think it's a bad chapter, but it's got me thinking. Like and mind you, I'm only saying this for the chapter that we got today. We still got 3 chapters where everything has to conclude. Plot holes need to be filled in. Loose ends need to be tied up. Things that we don't know transpired need to be explained to us, and it's got to be done in 3 chapters so that we can say like, okay, this was a satisfying end to Jujutsu. But this is something that we need to know for the next 3 chapters, with the last one capping it all off, and then hopefully Gege gives us a satisfying end to the story, because this is the one chapter where it's got me going, this is going to upset people. This is the type of chapter, because people are picky. People are picky, especially when it comes to manga, and they really expect the author to write a certain type of way, and if they don't, then, oh no, the chapter's bad or whatever. And I can understand the feelings toward the opinions and people's opinions on the pacing for this chapter, because I myself feel like things just went quickly in the first 2 pages. In the very first, matter of fact, if I come over here, we get the first page where he's speaking to Megumi. And then he tries to envelop Megumi in darkness. And then Megumi just ignores him as he starts to forcefully get pulled out of Megumi's soul, because we're seeing this in the Soulscape. He starts to get pulled out of Megumi's soul, and then Yuji's domain expansion breaks and shatters as Megumi is launched out from Sukuna, and Sukuna is just a mass of flesh that tries to get back to Megumi again, but he just starts to burn up in the sun. So it took like, I want to say about 4 pages. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then, 3 panels on a double spread page. So yeah, I feel like people are going to be talking about the pacing for this particular chapter for a while. Where is Mei Mei? I'm pretty sure she's with everyone else because everyone else is fighting. Mei stayed behind. She's, she stayed behind. Gege doesn't know how to write overpowered text. He does. Because, technically he does because, Limitless is a good overpowered technique along with Limitless. Limitless is good, Shrine is good, Cleave is good. All the techniques that Sukuna can do is very good. Yuta's technique. He knows how to write overpowered text, but I feel like this chapter is going to leave people more confused over how quickly the fighting just resolved after Yuji landed that last hit on Sukuna. I really think the thing that probably may bother people the most is that they probably would have expected Sukuna to at least have some final remarks towards Yuji before he separated from Megumi. Not him just getting punched and that being the thing. That being the thing that happens. Like him being punched and then him being immediately separated. So I honestly feel people will probably be bothered more by the technique. But yeah, since her tech was a finishing blow, that is why Gege kept Nobara out of the story, since her technique was the finishing blow. Because if you think about it, Nobara's technique, it is one of the more wide. It's a technique that has an incredible range. Because we don't know the location of where Sukuna's last finger is with Principal Gakuganji and Utahime, but she was capable. She was capable of harming Sukuna, and Sukuna recognized the technique because he recognized it as Nobara's. But she was capable of basically just disrupting everything on Sukuna. She was capable of just completely disrupting him, and that's the thing that they needed. So Gege can write overpowered techniques. I just feel with the series ending, the pacing, and I feel like, and I'm going to be honest here, the pacing for Jujutsu did not feel bad at all. Overall, it felt all right. But I feel like this is the one moment where the pacing for a chapter was incredibly noticeable to me. And I'm not even counting the chapter that had like less pages on it, because that was quick because it had less pages. And that was because Gege was going through like some health issues and he went on break for that. But this is the only chapter where I have pondered about its pacing the most out of any other chapter in the entire series. And it just so happens to be one of the final chapters of the entire series. So that kind of makes it funny to me. But I don't think it kind of overall diminishes any of the pacing that has happened with the story overall. Now, like I said, people are probably going to be talking about this for a hot minute. People are probably going to be saying that, oh, Jujutsu Kaisen is trash because the pacing for the one chapter where Sukuna is finally defeated felt very fast and we didn't have enough time. We didn't have enough time to marinate. And I can understand. But at the same time, how much longer are you going to drag out Inhuman Makio Shinjuku Showdown to almost 40 chapters? Because the last chapter we got with Inhuman Makio Shinjuku Showdown was part 37, wasn't it? Part 37? 37 parts where we're just 37 chapters dedicated to fighting Sukuna. And we get that one final chapter where he's finally eradicated. Sukuna has dragged out this fight for 37 chapters. 37 different chapters. I'm glad he gone. Because I don't know how I feel if we got Inhuman Makio Shinjuku Showdown for 38, 39, 40 different chapters. That's too long. But that's just me. Hikari's, Nobara's, Megumi's, Sukuna's, Takaba's, Yuta's, Kenjaku. He can do good overpowered techniques. Yeah, Gege can write a lot of good overpowered techniques for the series as a whole. But I'm actually glad that Sukuna's gone. I'm glad that Gege didn't drag it out. The Sukuna cycle is over? Yeah, it is. not only that, but Yuji doesn't have to die at the end of the day. Because this whole thing stemmed from Yuji going out to collect all of Sukuna's fingers, and once he had it contained within him, he would then just be killed, so that way Sukuna could be completely eradicated. And now we have a moment where Sukuna has been eradicated, and Yuji doesn't have to die. So that's where we're at right now. The thing that also disappointed me is Hakari was built up alongside Maki and Yuta, and they got great moments to shine, yet Hakari didn't really get that opportunity in the final showdown. It would have been more the same when he was fighting Kashimo. Basically, him just using his own domain expansion to give him invincibility and endless amounts of cursed energy for, like, what, 5 minutes? What if Yuji eats Sukuna's last finger to give him one last chance? Dude, you're ignoring the fact that Sukuna just disappeared. He just faded into dust, and he's in the wind now. This isn't a matter of all like, oh, Yuji is gonna... where Yuji is just gonna eat Sukuna's finger and then Sukuna is able to live himself. Because he picked up Sukuna, and Sukuna literally just faded. Literally just faded in Yuji's hands, just turning smaller and smaller, like he was a big mass in his hands. And then when he says, I gotta compliment how complete you are in acting the fool, Yuji Itadori, but do not dare to insult me, for I am a curse. And he's just fading from Yuji's hand here, becoming a smaller and smaller mass the entire time. Him eating the finger wouldn't bring him back. Nuh-uh, he ain't dead. I'm a professional, Sukuna. I see. What can make the best last chapter according to you? Now you want this. How you want this to end? That's the thing, though. It's kind of hard to say, because what would make it good if it ends? And mind you, and I feel like, wow, I've been going on for an hour. I usually don't last this long for Jujutsu, but I think this chapter warrants it. What would be a good ending for this series for me is the previous chapters before the last one completely resolves the matters that are still left open. I want to see a full-on confirmation that Sukuna is just straight up gone, because we see him fading, but I want to make sure that there isn't anything left behind, because dude brings up he will make a binding vow where he gives up everything playing in a playground and returns, he gets his life back. Now, like I said you were a professional Sukuna, what you said, but let's just see how these chapters go. But for me, I feel like we need to know what happened to the Culling game as a whole, because there were still people involved with it. A good ending would be all plot holes filled and loose ends tied, but unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. We still got 3 chapters, so let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with the final 2 chapters before the last one. We're going on break, so we'll have to see. But yeah, we have to do... And now we have this whole matter of we have to save Yuta. Is Yuta stuck in Gojo's body now? Jujutsu Kaisen 2 Electric Boogaloo? Or Bogalo. It's not even Boogaloo, it's Bogalo. Jujutsu Kaisen 2 Electric Bogalo. I like that. But we'll have to see. This chapter is probably going to stick with me for a hot minute. I'm just wondering. I hope this can be solved satisfyingly, but with 3 chapters, it's going to be difficult. It depends on the writer. It really does depend on the writer. You can get your point across. You can get your... I don't think it's going to have a Naruto-type ending. Yeah, it's not going to be no Naruto ending where he marries Hinata and he becomes Hokage and he looks out towards the Leaf Village as the new Hokage and he's happy. We're not getting that for Jujutsu Kaisen, because Jujutsu Kaisen isn't a happy ending type story. People have died. Several, hundreds in grisly types of ways. This isn't a story where it's like heroes versus villains. It's just people fighting. That's it. Even Gojo was all like, we're not heroes. We're not here to do like good things all the time. Even Gojo did some questionable things, like subjecting people to an infinite void for a short duration where they had to get medical attention at the end of the day. doing things that would be seen as unfavorable. We're not heroes. It's the whole story is just people using curse techniques, not blessed techniques, curse techniques. This whole story is just about being cursed. There's no true major happy ending for everyone. This isn't that type of story. Now, it's not like Attack on Titan's ending, or how it sought to end itself, but I don't see Yuji just riding off into the sunset with Nobara and Megumi just following in suit. This isn't a happy-go-lucky type story. This is a story where death is literally all around. So we'll have to see. Let's see, I hope I don't think it will have a Naruto ending. Maybe one panel of Yuji with a family. Why is Yuji trying to steal Hinata? Why is Yuji trying to steal Hinata from Naruto? Not even. Hinata loves Naruto too much. She loved that boy when they were kids, and it's always been that way from that point on. Also, how are Toto and Hana doing? Where are the other characters we haven't checked up on lately? Yeah, well, we know how Maki's doing. The last time we saw Maki, she got one-shotted directly into a building by Sukuna, and we haven't seen her since. And now we see her walking with Panda and Inumaki, who are clearly fine. And then we have Kusakabe with Mai and Momo. So there are quite a few things that need to be resolved before the story ends. We'll have to see. But just for Mei Mei having the time of her life. The thing about Mei Mei, though, is she cool. Curse techniques, not blessed techniques, got me. Also, you got any predictions? Who's yelling at Yuta? Like, do you mean who's saying Yuta, you jerk? That's actually a good question. Yuta, you jerk. It could be any number of people. Because it's not Maki and her crew. It's not Kusakabe and his. What if it's Rika? What if it's Rika arguing at Yuta that maybe he's kind of stuck in Gojo's body? I'm just making a prediction. What if it's Rika yelling at Yuta? Because no one else has a close enough relationship to Yuta Okotsu other than Rika. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's Rika yelling at Yuta like this, because maybe he's stuck in Gojo's body. He survived being in Gojo's body, but now he's apparently stuck there. Because remember, the last time we saw Rika, and I'm just making an assumption here. I gotta go on a flight right now, so I gotta go now. All right, dude, be safe on your flight. I look forward to the next time you are around. But please, be safe on your flight and enjoy wherever you're going. But with Rika, the last time we saw Rika, she was crying and she was holding Yuta's body, because he had already transplanted his brain over. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's Rika arguing at Yuta that Yuta is no longer in his original body and he's stuck in Gojo's. That's what I feel. That's what I feel. You beat me to it. That's what I was trying to segue to, because we haven't seen Rika in a while either. Yeah, the last time we saw Rika was like, I want to say maybe 2, maybe 3 chapters ago. No, I think it was over. I think it was over 3 chapters ago when she was holding under Yuta's body after Yuta. Can this Rika talk? Yes. Rika can talk. Rika can talk. She's been able to talk ever since, like, Jujutsu Kaisen 0. People can hear her talk, and she can speak. She can speak. But it'd be interesting to see if it's Rika who's actually arguing with Yuta. But overall, I thought this chapter was good in terms of bringing about an end to Sukuna, but I can full and wholeheartedly agree with a lot of you in terms of the pacing on how it all went down. I completely agree with you guys with the pacing feeling off, like really off, considering that this is the King of Curses, the big bad of the entire story, and it felt like he you felt like it really quickly died. But the OG Rika from movie 0 was freed. True. The only 2 positive options in my mind are Rika and Hakari, but that doesn't feel like how Hakari would talk. No, Hakari is chill. He's very chill. If anything, it would be Kirara. But we're not worried about Kirara right now. So my money is on Rika. If Rika is holding Yuta's body with him, not in that body, that means she's a free curse. Yeah, because it's not just like she's a curse and she can't interact with anything. If she's able to hold a person's body and they can see her there, she's out there. But we'll see. We'll see. We're apparently going on break, so we'll see how this story wraps up. Also, did we find out if Uraume was a boy or a girl? We don't know. And at this point, I don't think it's important. Like, many of us just said they just to you know, cover both sides, but I don't think it's really, I don't think whether Uraume was a boy or a girl, I think pretty much at this point is irrelevant. I think we can just call it irrelevant at this point, but that's just me. That's just me. But yeah, I don't think it's important anymore. I saw the chest wrapping thing, which indicates for a female character. A lot of the times, that's what I was thinking. But I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. Let's see. I'm starting to look at JJK like Bleach. I thoroughly enjoy this series, even though I didn't really like the ending. But we still have 3 chapters, so let's see. Exactly. We got 3 chapters. We're doing all of this speculation on how everything's going to get tied up, and we still got 3 whole chapters that could very much wrap up the series nicely. So let's just wait and see. But I'm done, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to keep you here any longer than I already have. 17 people. Welcome, everyone. I bet you're wondering how I feel about this chapter, and the overall feeling for everyone is like the pacing felt off. Sure, we got the end of Sukuna, but the pacing to his demise just felt a little bit unorthodox. Let's call it that. It was an unorthodox pacing to his end. So let's just say it like that. But that's my overall opinion. Want an anime recommendation? Like what? I'm actually supposed to be looking into this anime called, what is it? Blood Blockade. It was supposed, what is it called? Anime Kekai Sensan. Yeah, Kekai Sensan, which in English is called Blood Blockade Battlefront. Yeah, and this is an anime that came out in 2015, and then the other one came out a little bit later. It was a gift that I saw on the internet that made me want to actually look at the series. I haven't started it yet because I still got some other anime I need to catch up to. But sure, by all means, give me an anime recommendation. I still need to watch Dororo. Also, it's unfortunate we didn't get a Heian era flashback too, but that doesn't matter now either. No, it doesn't, because that would take too much time, and resolving this entire story in 3 more chapters and including some flashbacks would just drag it out instead of ending it. But yeah. I'll check out Dororo. And hold on. Yeah, I heard of Dororo before. This is the one. Oh, I heard of this. Yeah, I've heard about this before. Yeah, I heard about this series before. I never watched it. Thank you. I'll check it out. I'll check it out on my own time. I won't do like a reaction series to it, but I'll check it out on my own time. But I'm done, ladies and gentlemen. This has been my reaction to the 4th to last chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen. Let's see how Gege resolves and ties up this entire story. Let's see. But I'm done. You've been such a wonderful audience. We are now officially in September. So I can't wait to see what manga and, well, for the most part, it's going to be One Piece for a while, aside from Sakamoto Days and me adding Kaiju number 8 to the channel. But let's see what this month gives us. Like, we have Space Marine 2, which is going to be dropping next week. So that's something I'm definitely going to be playing. I also am going to be looking into the Castlevania Dominus collection, so I can finally play those old DS Castlevania games that I have, like Portrait of Ruin, Order of Ecclesia, and Dawn of Sorrow. So that's something. But I'll do a September channel update video for you guys to let you know where my headspace is at and what I'm going to be doing. But thank you for the support for the entirety of me reading Jujutsu. If you don't come back and watch me read Jujutsu again, then thank you for sticking it out with me and enjoying this chapter with me. And let's see how Gege wraps it up. Well, you've been a wonderful audience. Thank you for your time. Go and do whatever it is you got to do. Thank you for being here. Hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples. R.I.P. the King of Curses. Sukuna gone. All of them is gone. I'm kidding. Later, peoples. I'm glad he's dead.